Yo, what's up, family? Before we start the video, please leave a like, subscribe, and share it in there once you can, just so we can get out there a little bit more. With that being said, let's get right into the video. So the Celtics beat the Brooklyn Nets 124 to 114. In the game, they don't have Derek White. I really wanted to see, you know what I'm saying, because again, I've said this in a lot of my previous videos that I believe the Celtics have the best top six in the NBA. But their depth is something that's worthy questioning. And Derek White was out tonight, personal reasons. He's having his second child, so congrats to Derek White. But this is a game that you needed to see somebody off your bench step up, and we got that. We got that from Luke Cornett. I don't want to start with Luke, so I'm going to go through the game and then I'm going to talk about the players. But this was a game that coming into it, you saw that Claxton was out, Ben Simmons was out, and you thought, this could be another Pacers game or Washington Wizards type game where the Celtics just run away with the game. The bench guys played the whole entire fourth quarter and they either sink the lead that the starters got or they keep up and they go higher. So it was actually good to have a competitive game, even though the Nets and the Celtics were both shorthanded. To start the game off, the Nets embraced small ball just like the Wizards did. Didn't have Daniel Gafford. They had Avdia, checking Kristaps for the entire game. Tonight, without Ben Simmons and without Claxton, the Nets had a combination of Dorian Finney-Smith, Royce O'Neal, and Day'Ron Sharpe, who came off the bench tonight. Those were the three guys that were rotating, checking Kristaps Porzingis, and it's just not a recipe for success, on defense at least. On offense, the Nets just ran 5 out and they relied on their ball handlers. They had Cam Thomas, Mikal Bridges, Lonnie Walker, who came in and gave them like 13 points. Cam Thomas had 27 or 24, and he's just a guy that can score the ball. Like, that's literally what he does. He's always on go mode. He's always aggressive. He's always looking for a shot. And on a team that doesn't have a lot of scoring, especially in the half court, a guy like Ben Simmons can probably get a couple in fast breaks. The only guy that I think can really score and get their own in a fast break consistently is probably Mikal Bridges, who did not have a great night tonight. He went like 7 for 20, but he did turn up in the fourth a little bit, but it was just a little bit too late. Cam Johnson, who I think of more of like a shooter than a scorer, he also didn't play tonight. So him, Simmons, Claxton, you know what I'm saying? So they relied on their ball handlers being very aggressive and just trying to beat the bigger Celtics off the dribble on driving kicks. Their offense looked pretty good tonight. I think Kristaps and Al did a pretty good job on the perimeter, but guys like Cam Thomas, Dinwiddie, Bridges, Lonnie, they're just too fast for those guys, and they were also too big and athletic for guys like Pritchard. We'll talk about that later, but we saw a lot of those lineups with the bench infused with a starter or two. Hauser and Pritchard got the first subs in at like the 5-minute mark in the first quarter. You saw a lot of O'Shea Brissett, who seems to become a fixture early in this rotation. You seen Cornett start the second quarter. I think Kristaps played the whole first quarter. I think that's like his normal rotation thing where he's gonna play majority of the first quarter no matter who they're playing against. And yeah, things were cool for a little bit. The Celtics were up 70 to 58 at halftime. They just missed out on the 75-point mark that they hit in the previous 2 games. And by the end of the third quarter, things got a little too close for comfort. The Nets won that third quarter by 9, 30 to 21. Even though it was close, you just knew that the Celtics' talent would prevail at some point. I didn't agree with a lot of rotational things Joe Mazzulla did, but once the game was close, with like 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and Pritchard was still in, Hauser was still in, O'Shea was in, and you knew that Drew and Brown and Kristaps still had to enter the game. You knew that, that starting 5 unit was going to overtake and eventually win that game. And again, the Celtics win 124 to 114. So now onto the players. We're going to start with who I think is the MVP through 5 games. It's only 5 games, so it's not really anything crazy, but Jason Tatum, bro, like, he's a totally different player. The approach, the mentality, the poise, the way he's picking this. I've always thought Tatum was a supremely skilled scorer. He's a guy that can explode for 50s on some nights, but I didn't think he was one of those guys that gets to his spot and there's nothing you can do, and the only variable is if he makes it or he misses it. Those superstar guys, defense doesn't matter to them. And I felt before Tatum embraced the post game with a guy like Sam Cassell, before Tatum became more deliberate and embraced contact and invited contact and went through it, I think the defense had a big percentage on what Tatum would do in the past. But I think right now it's just all about what he's going to do. He's going to get somewhere. He's going to stay there. He's going to hold his line. And he's going to make the right read. Him adding those pounds, he didn't use them in past years. Even when he got stronger, he wasn't posting up as much and he wasn't doing it correctly, right? He wasn't using his strength to finish strong and to not go up weak. You know what I'm saying? Why are you adding strength if you're not going to use the strength, right? We're seeing this year Tatum is using the things that he's added. I don't want to jinx it, but I think the 3-ball is back. That's all I'm going to say about that. If the 3-ball is back, plus the mentality change, plus the approach change, plus the post game, I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. Drew Holiday was everywhere in this game. Once again, he was 1 rebound short of a triple-double. You have 2 guards that are stronger than most of the guards, that are taller than most point guards, and they do everything on the court. He had 4 offensive rebounds. He didn't shoot particularly great from the field, but those walk-in threes that he seems to hit every time, he does things in the flow. I felt this game he had room to score. You know, I think they needed his scoring tonight. He had a season high points. There are going to be games where we don't have a Tatum, or we don't have a Brown, or we don't have a White. Drew's going to get back to the person that just averaged 20 points last year. So him continuing to bring his IQ, his wit, and his smarts on both sides of the court is just going to help this team in the long run. And then you have Kristaps Porzingis, who had 22 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 blocks tonight. He's a mismatch, even when you have a center on the court. There are just so many ways that you can play a guy like Kristaps Porzingis, right? You could pick and pop him when you have a center that you're playing against that likes to protect the rim. You know, they're stronger. You know what I'm saying? You make them move their feet and you make them guard on the 3-point line. And Kristaps is skilled enough to the point where if that guy tries to contest his shot, he can pump fake, put the ball on the floor. He can do a step back, still shoot a 3, or just drive all the way and dunk the ball. And then in this game, in the Wizards game, when they don't have a center on him, he's just catching the ball, he's turning around, and he's shooting right over them. And he's getting fouled on a lot of these attempts. He's just a mismatch nightmare. And then he's hitting threes almost at the logo. It's just some shit you can't play with. And he's an acquisition that changes the whole complexion of this team, especially their offense. And on defense, he was excellent. The Nets were running that 5 out. They got a couple plays on him. I think Sharp got a dunk on them. But down the stretch especially, they had about like 5 straight possessions of trying to take Kristaps off the dribble and scoring them. He contested like 3 straight threes, and then he had that big block on Cam Thomas at the rim. I think this has gotten lost throughout the trajectory of his career. Like, Kristaps is an elite rim protector, and he has been for the majority of his time when he's healthy. But the thing that gets swept under the rug even more is that, you know, he was once that unicorn type guy. He is laterally quick enough to stay with guys, which means, yes, he's tall, but the agility and the fluidity laterally makes him who he is, right? And him being able to contest threes after guys try to take him off the dribble and to stay stride for stride with a guy like Cam Thomas, as dynamic as he is, and then block his shot, then we get a shot the other way. It's just so important for the makeup of this team. And then you have Al Horford. Just straight applause to him. He was a plus 29 tonight. He's always going to be the reliable vet, right? And he's going to do whatever you need him to do. He's going to come off the bench. He's going to guard on the perimeter. He's going to guard on the interior. He's going to shoot threes. You know, he's going to pass the ball. Al Horford just does everything. And at his age, the way he's still able to move laterally, he's still able to jump and catch alley-oops and block shots. This guy is still going to be a very important piece to our team. And he is that 6th guy in that top 6. He's been a starter on this team for a majority of years, and he's been a huge part of our success and an important cog in that ignition. And it's like he's getting older, but he's not showing it in his play, right? And if Al can keep this up for the playoffs, I think we're looking good. Now onto the bench of this game. Luke Kornet, 11 points, 7 rebounds, 5 for 5 from the field. You're going to need some of these Luke games. You know, this is not who he is. This is not a game he's always going to have. Some games he will look lost. He won't catch the ball. You know what I'm saying? He won't be using his size effectively. But there were games last year where Luke was very effective. You know what I'm saying? And he came in and he looked like a quality center. And some nights Luke is a good center in this league. So when you get those nights, you have to capitalize. You have to win. He had some catches in some areas that were clustered, and he finished. You know, he got an and 1. He made all his shots, and that's all he needs to do. He just needs to make the layups and dunk the ball when he has the opportunity to, right? Grab rebounds, use your size, be an effective 7'2" guy. O'Shea Brissett was cool. You know, he's going to always give you that energy on the rebounds. He tapped out some rebounds and got the Celtics some open looks. He made a 3 today. He had some nice strong drives, and he's just a guy that's going to give you some energy off the bench. Hauser hit some shots. I thought he slid his feet well defensively. He's better laterally than people think he is. It's just like Pritchard where, you know, sometimes he's just not athletic enough to physically stop the guy he's guarding, even if he's in the right position. You know, this league is full of athletes, and when you couple skill and athleticism, those guys are really hard to stop. And I think Sam has a lot of skill. You know, he's technically sound on offense, and on defense, you know, he does slide his feet well. He's often in the right position, but he's just not athletic enough. But I do like the minutes you got out of Hauser tonight. And Pritchard, I'm not gonna say too much about him, but we do need him to get back resembling the preseason version of him. Not the guy that's averaging 20 points, but he needs to be better. He needs to run the show more. He needs to just be effective, right? Like, be a quick guy. He needs to push the tempo every time he has the ball. He needs to hit shots. You know, he airballed a 3 tonight, and I'm just like, who the hell is this on the court? But Pritchard needs to get back to being Peyton Pritchard. And hopefully, this isn't who Peyton Pritchard is. And I do want to say one last thing about the rotations on the bench. I don't understand why Lamar Stevens isn't playing. This was a game where I think you could have got some small ball 5 out of him with the Nets going really small. You can't tell me he can't compete with guys like Royce O'Neal and Dorian Finney-Smith on that end. He's a versatile defender. He's athletic. He's strong, and he has great IQ. Those traits were everything the Celtics needed tonight in a game where the Nets were just penetrating and driving and kicking, or just scoring off their drives. And he's better on offense than people think. He's not a great shooter, but he can actually put the ball on the floor, take a couple dribbles, and get to the rim, or hit that pull-up in the mid-range, right? I don't know why he's not playing yet, but I know for sure when he starts playing, he's not going to get out of the rotation. So that's that. But that's the video, guys. Again, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe, share it in there once you can, just so we got there a little bit more. This is Nick. I will see you guys in the next post-game video. But till then, peace.